If you're looking to learn some basic C++, you've come to the right spot. So this repo has a couple of projects to help learn some basic C++. C++, if you don't know, is an object-oriented programming language. It's used for a lot of application and embedded development. It's based off the C language, so if you know C or a variation of C, such as C#, C++ will probably be fairly easy to pick up. It's a great language to learn even as a beginner because it's cross-platform compatible, and most of the basics that you'll learn here are directly transferable to many other object-oriented programming languages. So this particular repo contains two subprojects that we'll get into demoing. Of course, your classic Hello World to kind of get your toes wet. And then we also have a games console app that includes tic-tac-toe and hangman games. We'll look at some things like variables, expressions, conditionals, loops, functions, classes, data structure. We'll have a vector in there. And then we'll also show some inheritance with virtual functions. There's a lot of helpful links included here to help get started. And I've actually opted to use mostly code blocks for running the code. I did use VS Code also, and both work well. Visual Studio is another option. So let's go ahead and take a look at some code. So if we go into our code blocks editor here, we have a few files open. So we'll go ahead and look at the Hello World C++ first. This is just a really basic component, and we have just the main function. It does have to return an int to run that with the compiler, and all we're doing is doing some terminal output, which is with the cout. You see cin is for input, cout is for output, and we're just going to print a couple things to the terminal. So we'll go ahead and run this and just take a little look at that. The setup for this is all explained very well in the W3 Schools tutorial, so that's a great place to start. You can see we just printed two statements to the console. Again, very easy. This is a great way to kind of practice some of those basics that are explained in the W3 Schools tutorial. Moving into something a little bit more complicated, we have some games to play. So we'll go ahead and run this, and then we'll step through some of the code. So this is a game console app. So we'll go ahead and run this, and you'll see we'll have a main menu that will allow us to choose from two games, tic-tac-toe or hangman, or we can just exit. So go ahead and take a look at tic-tac-toe. It will ask you for some player names, so we'll do John and Jim. It tells you who goes first, who goes second. John, make your move. For this one, they choose the number of the square they'd like to go into, so we'll let John go first in number 1. We'll let Jim go into number 2. Let's see, John wants to go in the middle, and you know, Jim's not paying attention, so he's going to let that slide. John's going to get that 3 in a row at the end, and then it lets you choose another game. So we can go into the hangman here, take a look at that as well. We can enter a guess. There's just a few random words in here that we choose from, and we'll look at that in the code. You can choose a letter. If you get it wrong, it's going to add something to our little stick man. Oh, we got a G, A, M, no W, so if we'll finish out the game, it shows us that we do win. The word was games. If you're done playing, you can choose the game to play again, or you can just exit, and that's just easy peasy like that. Let's go ahead and take a little look through the code. So for this, we used basically all the fundamental principles of C++. We have within each class, we have variables, we have expressions, we have functions, and we actually use some inheritance here as well. So we made a game class that kind of shows the shape of a game. So all games should have some sort of public play game function. So that's an expected thing, and you'll see that in both tic-tac-toe and hangman. And then we also have some private functions that play game will need, like displaying the game board, taking a turn, and checking if the game is over. You can see these implemented in all of the games. We have a few additional properties for tic-tac-toe. Displaying the game board, we just have some basic console output with the game board values shown, which is just an array type thing. And then we have some if blocks and that kind of stuff. Once the players choose We do a lot of processing in there during the take turn to make sure that they have a valid input. And there's comments in here explaining all of this. And we'll also check if the game is over. And we just look for different scenarios to see if we should end the game. And then the play game just implements those. It loops through. If the game's not over, we keep playing. We display the board and take a turn. At the end of the game, we print out the message, so it's pretty easy there. And then it's similar with the hangman. The hangman actually is a little bit simpler. Displaying the game board, we actually have this nice little array list thing of little hangman arts that show the different variations of it until, you know, the hangman's all the way gone. And so we just show that depending on how many misses the person has. Taking the turn, we just take whatever they have and look for that in the secret word. And checking game over is if the secret word is the same as the guess word or if they've missed enough turns. Playing the game is very similar. We just check if the game's over. If it's not, we display the game and take a turn. If the game is over and they've had over 6 misses, then we say they lost. If not, we're going to assume that they won. So that's the pretty basic rundown of the console apps there in the code. Definitely check it out. This is a great way to learn some basic C++.